Welcome to lecture number 10. In this lecture, we are going to learn the various types of blockchains. So let us have a recap what we have studied in the last class. We studied in the last class the various features of blockchain technology. There are distributed consensus, transaction verification, platform for smart contracts, transferring value between peers, generation of cryptocurrency, smart property, provider of security, immutability, uniqueness. So there are so many features. In the last class, we learned about these basic 9 features of blockchain technology that enables the technology to work. Today, we will see the various types of blockchains. So we will come across so many terms. There are so many terms. As you have seen, I have listed 13. So there may be different types of blockchains and the various terminologies. We will see the various terminologies will come across when we discuss about the various types of blockchain. We have studied in the last class, we already know that um, this blockchain, the various versions of blockchains were there, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, isn't it? So based on the way that blockchain has evolved over the last few years, it is divided into multiple categories with distinct, though sometimes partially overlapping attributes. You should note that the tires, in the last class we learned about different tires. The tires described earlier in the class, whereby we have got logical characterization of blockchain based on evolution and usage. It was all based on how it was evolved using the different technologies. So in this, we will see the different types of blockchains from a technical and business usage perspective. These blockchain types can occur on any blockchain tier. So you should not get confused, isn't it? So different tiers, they are all how the technology has been evolved. These blockchain types can occur on any blockchain tier, as there is no direct relationship between those tiers and various types of blockchain. So at this juncture, you should be very much clear that tiers are different and the types are different. So in this, we are going to see these 13 different terms: distributed ledgers and distributed ledger technology. We call it as a DLT. And we come across again the terms blockchain. We come across the terms ledgers, and we have different types of blockchains such as public blockchain, private blockchain, semi-private blockchain, side chain, permissioned ledger, shared ledger, fully private and proprietary blockchains, tokenized blockchains, and tokenless blockchains. So out of these 13, so few terms we already know what are the blockchains, and few they tell us we will see the different types of blockchains. So let us see, because this term ledger is coming right from the way when we start these different types. So first let us know what ledger is. We all know, I think this term must be very much clear for those who do this Bachelor of Commerce, BCom, MCom. So this is a very basic term for them, those who deal with these commercial aspects and commerce. A ledger is a book or collection of accounts in which account transactions are recorded. So this is manually. This is a general term in which we are not including any computer records. In a general term, how ledger is defined? A ledger is a book or collection of accounts in which account transactions are recorded. Someone is recording all the transactions. Each account has an opening or carry forward balance. What is the carry forward? And it has an opening account, how much amount is there, and carry forward balance means yesterday's what has been brought up. So would record transactions as either a debit or credit in a separate column and at the ending or closing balance. So all these basic this is a very basic thing. Those who are used to the accounts, they know very well how this ledger is important to keep the records. Now, this is a general term. Just I wanted to make it clear what ledger is. Now, this ledger we will see in the blockchain technology or in the computer. What it means, how it works. So we come across the term distributed ledgers. A distributed ledger is a broad term describing shared databases. There are different databases, they are all shared. It is a broad term. I have just made as a, so all blockchains technically fall under the umbrella of shared databases or distributed ledgers. So all the blockchain, so many blockchains we have got, we will see in this class, they all come under the umbrella of this distributed ledger. Distributed you might be knowing because all the technology of blockchain is based on distributed systems. So the data is shared and data, anyone can access the data. So that's why there is a broad umbrella of distributed ledger, among which all the blockchain technology is there. Various types of blockchain, they all come under the umbrella of distributed ledger. So because when we talk about the terms, each term must be distinct. We should know what actually it means. All blockchains are fundamentally distributed ledgers. See here, all blockchains are fundamentally distributed ledgers. All distributed ledgers are not necessarily a blockchain. So at this point, you must be very much clear. All blockchains are fundamentally distributed ledgers. All the blockchains, they all are distributed ledger, and all the distributed ledgers, they are not necessarily a blockchain. You might be knowing the definition of blockchain, isn't it? So let us see a difference between distributed ledger versus blockchain. A critical difference between a distributed ledger and blockchain is that a distributed ledger does not necessarily consist of blocks of transaction to keep the ledger growing, isn't it? So a distributed ledger does not necessarily consist of blocks of transaction. Distributed ledger, so it doesn't need that it consists of all the blocks to keep the, as we are keeping in the blockchain. Rather, a blockchain is a special type of shared database that is comprised of blocks of transactions. As we all know, a blockchain is nothing but a block is there and all blocks are linked together and all transaction information is stored in the block. So a distributed, the critical difference is distributed ledger does not necessarily consist of blocks, as we see in the blockchain, consist of blocks of transaction to keep the ledger growing. Rather, what is a blockchain? Blockchain is a special type of shared database that is comprised of blocks of transactions. A distributed ledger is distributed among its participants and spread across multiple sites or organization. This type of ledger can either private or public. When we call this as a ledger, the shared database, either we can have it as a private or public. The fundamental idea here is that unlike many other blockchains, the records are stored contiguously instead of being sorted into the blocks. The fundamental idea of distributed ledger is, unlike the blockchain, the records are stored contiguously instead of being sorted into blocks. They are not sorted, they are just contiguously stored. That is the basic idea of distributed ledger. So again, one more thing I want to make it clear. All blockchains are fundamentally distributed ledgers, and all distributed ledgers are not necessarily a blockchain. Let us move further. We will come across the term DLT, distributed ledger technology. The terms distributed ledger, or we call it as a distributed ledger technology, has grown to be a commonly used to describe blockchain in finance industry. So this specific technology, it come under this finance, that's why I have made it in yellow color. So they are very much focused with this application of the finance industry. Sometime the blockchain and DLT, distributed ledger technology, are used interchangeably. So as the basic theme is same, that's why sometime interchangeably we are using this blockchain, or either we call it as a distributed ledger technology. DLT is very active and thriving area of research in financial sector. From a financial sector point of view, DLTs are permissioned blockchains that are shared and used between known participants. A permission is granted among the known participants, means authorized users are there, authorized participants are there, such that the DLTs are permissioned blockchains that are shared and used between known participants. DLT usually serve a shared database with all participants known and verified. They do not have cryptocurrency or do not require mining to secure the ledger. So they do not have any cryptocurrency, and they do not have any coins, or they do not require any mining. So how it works? This technology is work in such a way that they are nothing but the permissioned blockchains. They are being shared, and there are few participants who are fully authorized. They are used between known participants. They usually share a database with all the participants known, and all participants are verified. So that is the distributed ledger technology. So when we talk about distributed ledger technology, so it is basically used in the finance industry. And next we have got different types of blockchain. So in this we will see the public blockchain. As the name suggests, public, what does it mean? Public blockchains are not owned by anyone. They are open to the public, and anyone can participate as a node in decision making process. Users may or may not be rewarded for their participation. All users of these permissionless or unpermissioned ledger maintain a copy of ledger on their local nodes and use a distributed consensus mechanism to decide the eventual state of ledger. See, this is very basic thing. We come across the Bitcoin and Ethereum are both considered as public blockchains. We all know what Bitcoin is, and one more example is Ethereum. So these are all digital currencies. These two are based on this public blockchain. So they are not owned by anyone. There is no such master or third party who is taking care of all. This is the basic technology of blockchain. We can see it in this public blockchain, or in the examples of this Bitcoin and Ethereum, such that they are all open to the public. Anyone can participate. And how the decision is making? The decision is making such a way that we are using this consensus mechanism. In the last class we learned what is consensus mechanism. Most of the node, they agree on such a decision. Majority of the nodes, whatever they agree, we call it as a consensus mechanism. This is how the public blockchain works. The examples are Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now we will see this private blockchain. Earlier was public, anyone can participate. Now we come across the private blockchain. As the name implies, private blockchains are private. They are open only to consortium of group of individual or organizations who have decided to share the ledger among themselves. Sharing the ledger means whatever transaction information, all it is there, it is shared among the individuals. Only few individuals, they have got the rights and they are going to share. It is not a public, they are all private. There are various blockchains now available in this category, such as Hedera chain and Quorum. Optionally, both of these blockchain can also run in public mode if required. So basically they are not made as a private, but sometimes we can use a public also. But their primary purpose is to provide a private blockchain. So what they have thought earlier, if these two Bitcoin and Ethereum, they are all public, but they also wanted that there should be the authority should be given to very few people, those who can run. That's why they thought out a consortium or a group. They are going to take care of all these transaction. That's why they have restricted the privileges such that only a group of people they can share the information, they can share the ledger. That's why it is called a private blockchain. Next, we see the semi-private. As the word tells, semi means half, means not fully. With semi-private blockchains, part of the blockchain is private and part of it is a public. They are something like both. A part is a private and part is a public. Note that this is still just a concept today, and no real world proof of concept have yet been developed. With a semi-private blockchain, the private part is controlled by a group of individuals while the public part is open for participation by anyone. As we all know, they are clubbed. The public and private both are clubbed, and we come across this semi-private blockchain. But it tells that it is just a concept today. No real-time implementation has not yet been done. Next, we will see the new term, one more term, that is side chains. What is it? More precisely known as the pegged chains. The side chains are also known as the peg chains. This is a concept whereby coins can be moved from one blockchain to another and moved back again. I have shown in the figure, there is a blockchain and there is a side chains. So what it does, more precisely known as, more precisely they are known as the pegged chains. This is a concept whereby coins, what do you mean by a coin? A coin is nothing but a digital currency that can be moved from one blockchain to another blockchain and moved it back again. Typically, it uses include the creation of new altcoins, means alternative currencies can be created whereby the coins are burned as a proof of an adequate stake. Pegged sidechain are used to transfer assets between multiple blockchains. See, there are multiple blockchains are there. If we want to transfer the assets, if we want to transfer the coins is nothing but the digital currency, isn't it? If we want to transfer it, we are using this pegged side chains. And you come across the word burnt, we will see. So what is a burnt? Burnt or burning the coins in this context means that coins are sent to an address which is unspendable, and this process makes the burnt coins irrecoverable. So what it means that there are coins are nothing but the digital currencies. So we are making it such that we are burning the coins and this process is irrecoverable. So if you know this burning of CDs, when we want to dump any data on the CD, there are few softwares in which we call it as a burning of CD. So that is also when we burn any data on the CD, on the compact disk, it is also irrecoverable, because whatever data is there, once we are going to store on that CD, nor it can be erased, nor it can be edited. So the same concept we can think of the burning of the coins. This mechanism is used to bootstrap a new currency or introduce scarcity, which results in increased value of the coin. So this is the burning of coins. This mechanism is called proof of burn, POB, and it is used as an alternative method of distributed consensus to proof of work and proof of stake, POS. We also know in the earlier classes we learnt about this proof of work. It is one of the concept that is all related with the consensus, means agreeing upon what majority tells. So these two, this is also the one of the concept. This mechanism is called proof of burn, POB, and it is used as an alternative concept for POW and POS. So anyhow, when the whole concept is, suppose we have burnt a coin, means that process is irrecoverable. That easy to understand. What we can think, when a coin is being burnt, that process is irrecoverable. means whatever is done, it is done only once. So it is going to help us in so many transactions. So this mechanism used to bootstrap a new currency or introduce a scarcity which results in increased value of the coin. The aforementioned example for burning coins applies to a one-way pegged sidechain. So there are two different types of the sidechains. See, there are two different ways of the sidechains. One is one-way pegged and another is two-way pegged. The second type is called two-way pegged, which allows the movement of coins from the main chain to the side chain and back to the main chain when required. So if it is only one way, which allows movement of coin from one chain to side chain, it is called one way. When we call it as a two-way, then back to the main chain when it is required. So there are two types of pegged side chains. One is the one way and another is the two way. This process enables the building of smart contracts for the Bitcoin network. As we all know, in the last class we learned of the different smart contracts. How this, you all know how this smart contract is helping us to save our time, and various examples we also saw of any in the last class we learned. So this is going to be a very helpful feature. So this process means the process in which the information from one blockchain to the side chain, and how the coins are being movement of coins from one blockchain to another blockchain by using this sidechain technology. This process enables the building of smart contracts for Bitcoin network. And next we will see the permissioned ledger. A permissioned ledger is a blockchain where participants of network are already known and trusted. A permission ledger is having all the information, isn't it? A permission ledger is a blockchain where participants of network are already known and trusted. Permission ledger need not to use a distributed consensus mechanism. See, in the whole classes we learned that in the earlier classes we learned there is a consensus mechanism in which all the nodes, they are agreeing upon some majority of the decision. The decision is taking upon majority of what nodes tell. But here we have got an agreement protocol is used to maintain a shared version of the truth about the state of records on the blockchain. A permission ledger is a blockchain where participants of network are already known and trusted. Permission ledger, I have made it in the yellow so that it is a very important sentence. Permission ledger do not need to use a distributed consensus mechanism. Instead, we are using an agreement protocol to maintain a shared version of the truth about the state of records on blockchain. So all the earlier classes we learned that there is a consensus mechanism, but when we come out to the permission ledger, we need not need this consensus mechanism. Instead, we are using some agreement protocol. In this case, for verification and transactions on the chain, all verifiers are already pre-selected by a central authority, and typically there is no need for mining mechanism. Next we will see the shared ledger. This is a generic term that is used to describe any application or database that is shared by public or consortium. There is a general term that is described that it is shared by the public or consortium. Generally, all blockchains fall under the category of shared ledger. The whole thing, what blockchain is, the data is shared. So generally all blockchains fall into the category of the shared ledger. And we will see this fully private and proprietary blockchains. There is no mainstream application of these type of blockchains as they deviate from the core concept of decentralization in blockchain technology. See here, the very purpose of blockchain technology is anyone can use, and there is no such central someone who is going to control it. So that's why they deviate from the very basic concept of the blockchain technology. Nonetheless, in specific private settings within an organization, there could be a need to share data and provide some level of guarantee to authenticity of the data. So no complex consensus mechanism is required apart from a simple state machine replication and an agreement protocol with the known central validators. See, fully private. When we talk about this private and proprietary, obviously we can think that their basic idea is deviating from our basic idea of this blockchain technology. No doubt, in specific private settings within some organization, there could be a need. There could be a need for some private applications. And we come across these tokenized blockchains. These blockchains are standard blockchains that generate cryptocurrency as a result of consensus process via mining or initial distribution. What are these tokenized blockchains? These blockchains are standard blockchains that generate the cryptocurrency as a result of consensus process via mining or initial distribution. You all know what is consensus process, agreeing upon majority of the nodes what tells. Bitcoin and Ethereum are prime example of this type of blockchain. And next is tokenless blockchain. These blockchains are designed in such a way that they do not have the basic unit for transfer of value. However, they are still valuable in situation where there is no need to transfer value between nodes and only the sharing of data among various trusted parties is required. This is similar to full private blockchains. The only difference is that use of tokens is not required. In the private blockchains we are using these tokens, whereas in this tokenless blockchain we are not using the tokens. So these blockchains are designed in such a way that they do not have tokenless blockchain, they do not have basic unit for transfer of the value. These tokenless blockchains are designed in such a way that they do not have basic unit for transfer of value. These tokenless, they are more or less same like the private blockchains. In the last slide we saw the private blockchains. The only difference is that in that private blockchains we use the tokens, whereas here we are not using the tokens.